Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to speak about something we often desire yet sometimes fail to understand: blessings. Blessings are not magical gifts that fall into our laps. They are outcomes of preparation, alignment, and responsibility. Too often we chase blessings without comprehending what they demand of us. Blessings are often viewed as the end goal, the reward for perseverance, or the evidence of favor. However, there is a principle that governs their arrival: nothing significant is received without readiness. Preparation always precedes promotion. This is a universal law that applies to every area of life, whether spiritual, personal, or professional. You cannot expect to receive what you are not prepared to handle. The blessings you seek demand that you first align yourself with their responsibilities. Take a farmer, for example. Before the harvest comes, there is the work of plowing, planting, watering, and nurturing the soil. The ground must be prepared to receive the seed, and the farmer must be diligent in tending to it. If the ground is neglected or the seed is scattered carelessly, the harvest will never come. In the same way, blessings require a season of preparation. They demand effort, diligence, and intentionality. The greater the blessing, the greater the preparation required. If you are unwilling to go through the process of readiness, you will be unqualified to sustain the blessings when they arrive. The principle is evident throughout history and Scripture. When David was anointed to be king, he did not ascend to the throne immediately. Instead, he returned to tending sheep. That period of obscurity was not a denial of his destiny, but a season of preparation. He learned leadership, courage, and reliance on God in the fields and on the battlefield before he could rule a nation. The same is true for you. Often we despise the season of preparation because it feels hidden and unremarkable. But that season is essential for refining the skills and character needed for the blessings ahead. Blessings are tied to principles. If you observe carefully, every promise is attached to a condition. The fulfillment of the promise is dependent on adherence to the principle. For example, prosperity comes through diligence, stewardship, and generosity. Favor comes through humility, obedience, and service. Health comes through discipline, rest, and wise choices. It is not enough to desire the blessing. You must live according to the principles that govern it. The principles are unchanging, and they operate regardless of emotion or circumstance. They are like laws, consistent and impartial. If you violate them, the result is frustration. If you honor them, the result is fulfillment. One of the most overlooked aspects of preparation is the alignment of character with purpose. Character is the container of blessings. Without character, blessings can become burdens and gifts can turn into grief. Consider this: if you pour a gallon of water into a vessel with cracks, no matter how much water is added, it will leak out. Similarly, if your character is flawed, the blessings meant to enrich your life will drain away, leaving you with emptiness. Integrity, humility, and discipline are the building blocks of character. They ensure that you can handle the weight of the blessings you desire. Many people cry out for blessings but resist the processes that produce them. Yet, the process is not a punishment, it is a preparation. The delay in receiving the blessing is not because it is being withheld, but because you are being matured. The process often involves trials, tests, and challenges. These are not designed to break you, but to build you. They reveal weaknesses, develop patience, and sharpen focus. Just as gold is refined in fire, you are refined through adversity. When you emerge from the process, you are not only ready for the blessing, but also equipped to sustain it. Faith and obedience are two critical keys to unlocking blessings. Faith declares the promise, but obedience unlocks its manifestation. Faith says, "I believe," but obedience demonstrates, "I am ready." It is not enough to believe that blessings will come. You must position yourself to receive them by walking in obedience to the principles that govern them. Imagine a door with a key. Faith acknowledges that the door can open, but obedience is the action of turning the key. Without obedience, faith remains incomplete. It is also important to understand that blessings are tied to purpose. Provision follows vision. God does not bless you randomly or arbitrarily. He blesses you to fulfill His purposes. Every blessing has a responsibility attached to it. Wealth is given to advance good works. Wisdom is given to guide others. Influence is given to inspire and uplift. When you understand this, you stop seeking blessings for selfish reasons and start aligning yourself with the purpose behind them. To prepare for blessings, you must examine your motives, refine your character, and align yourself with purpose. You must embrace the process, adhere to principles, and position yourself through faith and obedience. Blessings are not withheld, they are waiting for your readiness. The question is not whether the blessings are available, the question is whether you are prepared to receive them. The principles govern promises, and every blessing you desire rests on a foundation of unchanging laws. The world operates by principles spiritual, moral, and natural. These principles are like a divine framework set in motion to ensure order and balance. Without principles, chaos would reign, and blessings would be unattainable. The key to unlocking blessings lies in understanding and obeying the principles that govern them. Many people approach blessings as though they are arbitrary gifts given without cause or condition. Yet blessings are not random, they are tied to principles. For example, the principle of sowing and reaping governs provision. You cannot reap what you have not sown. If you plant seeds of diligence, faithfulness, and generosity, you will harvest abundance. If you plant seeds of laziness, neglect, or selfishness, the harvest will reflect that. This is not punishment, it is the natural result of principles at work. Take the principle of forgiveness, which governs peace. If you desire peace in your heart and relationships, you must practice forgiveness. Holding on to bitterness, resentment, or anger will block the flow of peace in your life. The principle is clear: forgive as you have been forgiven. When you obey this principle, you align yourself with the promise of peace. However, if you resist it, you disqualify yourself from experiencing the fullness of that blessing. Every principle is a law that operates consistently, regardless of circumstances or emotions. Consider gravity, it works whether you believe in it or not. If you jump off a building, gravity will pull you down. Similarly, the principles that govern blessings function whether you acknowledge them or not. When you obey them, you benefit. When you ignore them, you face the consequences. Obedience is the bridge between the principle and the promise. A principle without obedience is like a locked treasure chest without a key. The treasure exists, but you cannot access it. Many people know the principles, they know what is right, what is required, and what must be done, but they lack the obedience to act on that knowledge. As a result, the blessings they seek remain out of reach. Obedience is not optional, it is the activation of the principle. Take the story of Naaman, the commander who sought healing from leprosy. He was instructed to dip himself in the Jordan River 7 times. At first he resisted, thinking the instruction was beneath him. But when he finally obeyed, his healing was immediate. The principle was already in place, his healing was contingent on his obedience. Imagine if Naaman had refused to obey, his blessing would have remained dormant, not because it was unavailable, but because he did not align himself with the principle through obedience. Principles are often counterintuitive, which is why obedience requires faith. It does not always make sense to forgive when you have been wronged, to give when you are in need, or to serve when you feel overlooked. Yet these actions align you with divine principles that unlock blessings. Obedience is an act of trust, a declaration that you believe the principle will produce the promise. The principles also require consistency. Sporadic obedience will not yield consistent blessings. Imagine a farmer who waters his crops once a month instead of daily. The principle of growth requires consistent care. In the same way, the blessings tied to principles require steady alignment. You cannot expect the fullness of blessings if your obedience is occasional or conditional. Moreover, principles are impartial. They work for anyone who applies them. It does not matter your background, education, or status. If you obey the principle, you will experience the promise. This is why some people seem to thrive while others struggle. They have aligned themselves with principles, whether knowingly or unknowingly. This truth is both empowering and challenging because it places the responsibility for blessings in your hands. It is important to recognize that principles are not burdens, they are guides. They are not meant to restrict you, but to position you for the best outcome. They protect you from harm and prepare you for abundance. The principle of integrity, for instance, governs trust. When you live with honesty and transparency, you attract trust and respect, which opens doors to greater opportunities and relationships. On the other hand, if you compromise integrity, you undermine the trust that is essential for blessings. When you embrace principles, you align yourself with the divine order. You stop striving and start flowing. You move from frustration to fulfillment, from lack to abundance. The blessings you seek are not distant or unattainable. They are waiting for you to honor the principles that unlock them. Principles are the language of heaven, the currency of blessings, and the foundation of promises. If you want to experience the fullness of blessings, you must commit to a life of obedience to principles. They are unchanging, impartial, and eternal. Every promise is tied to them, and every blessing flows through them. The question is not whether the blessings are available. The question is whether you are willing to align yourself with the principles that govern them. Purpose determines provision. This truth is foundational in understanding how and why blessings flow into your life. God does not give blessings arbitrarily or to satisfy personal whims. Instead, every resource, opportunity, and measure of favor He provides is tied to His greater purpose for your life. When you align yourself with that purpose, provision naturally follows. Consider the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. For 40 years, God provided manna, quail, and water from a rock to sustain them. Why? Because they were on a journey to fulfill His purpose of entering the promised land. The provision was not about their comfort or indulgence, it was about sustaining them for the mission. When the purpose was fulfilled, the manna ceased because the need for that particular provision had ended. This shows us that provision is always tied to the purpose God has ordained. When you understand this principle, you stop chasing blessings for selfish reasons and start seeking alignment with divine purpose. Provision is a tool, not a trophy. It is meant to empower you to fulfill a calling, not to inflate your ego. Many people pray for blessings, yet their motives are rooted in self-interest. They desire wealth for status, influence for control, or gifts for recognition. However, blessings sought outside of purpose often lead to frustration or misuse. Purpose provides the framework for stewardship. When you recognize that your resources are tied to a greater mission, you handle them with care and intentionality. You no longer see wealth as merely an opportunity to spend, but as a responsibility to invest. You view time as a precious resource to be used wisely and not wasted. Even your talents and skills become instruments for impact rather than mere personal gain. Purpose transforms how you view and manage every blessing. Think of Joseph in Egypt. God gave him the ability to interpret dreams, but the purpose behind that gift was not to elevate Joseph alone. The provision of wisdom and favor he received was designed to save nations from famine. Joseph's rise to power was not about his personal promotion, but about positioning him to fulfill a divine purpose. The same principle applies to your life. God equips you with resources, ideas, and opportunities, not just to benefit you, but to accomplish His will through you. When provision is disconnected from purpose, it can lead to emptiness or destruction. Look at individuals who achieve material success yet feel unfulfilled. The problem is not the abundance, but the absence of purpose guiding it. Without purpose, blessings lose their meaning. They become distractions instead of tools, weights instead of wings. This is why purpose must always precede provision. When you live according to purpose, blessings find their rightful place. They serve the mission, not the other way around. Purpose also brings clarity to the timing of provision. Many people become frustrated when blessings seem delayed, but timing is tied to readiness and alignment. God's provision arrives at the right time to meet the needs of His purpose. If you have not yet received what you are praying for, it may be because the purpose it is meant to serve is not yet in motion. Provision that arrives prematurely can be counterproductive. Just as you would not give a child a tool they are too young to handle, God does not release blessings until the time and purpose are aligned. Moreover, purpose protects you from comparison. When you understand that provision is tied to purpose, you stop measuring your blessings against others. Instead of asking, why do they have more, you begin to ask, what is my purpose? God provides according to the unique assignments He has given each of us. Comparing your provision to someone else's is like comparing tools for different tasks. A carpenter and a surgeon both receive tools, but their tools serve different purposes. The purpose also enlarges your capacity to receive. The more aligned you are with your purpose, the more resources and opportunities you can handle. If your vision is small, your provision will match it. But when your vision expands to align with God's greater plan, He increases your capacity and equips you accordingly. Think of the widow in Scripture whose jars were filled with oil as long as she brought more vessels. Her provision was limited only by the size of her capacity. Similarly, your alignment with purpose determines how much God can entrust to you. When you pursue purpose, you position yourself under the flow of provision. Resources, connections, and opportunities are drawn to purpose like rivers to the ocean. You no longer have to strive for blessings because they are attracted to the fulfillment of divine assignments. Purpose is the magnet for provision. Understanding that provision follows purpose changes everything. It shifts your prayers, your mindset, and your actions. Instead of asking, what can I get, you begin asking, what is this for? Instead of chasing blessings, you start pursuing alignment with God's will. And when you walk in purpose, you will find that every need is met, every resource is supplied, and every door is opened in its perfect time. Character is the container of blessings. This principle cannot be overstated because blessings by their very nature require a vessel capable of holding and sustaining them. That vessel is character. Without integrity, discipline, and maturity, blessings can easily become burdens or even curses. Character is not optional, it is the foundation upon which blessings rest. Imagine receiving a gift that is too heavy for you to carry. Instead of bringing you joy, it becomes a strain. Not because the gift is flawed, but because you lack the strength to handle it. Blessings operate the same way. They are not just about receiving, they are about sustaining. Without the capacity to manage blessings, what was meant to enrich your life can overwhelm you. Character is what gives you that capacity. It ensures that the blessings you receive will not crush you but elevate you. One of the clearest examples of this principle is seen in the life of King Saul. He was anointed as Israel's first king, a position of immense blessing and responsibility. Yet his lack of character, his insecurity, disobedience, and pride led to his downfall. The blessing of kingship became a curse because his character could not sustain it. On the other hand, David, who succeeded him, faced years of trials and testing before ascending the throne. Those years were not wasted, they were a time of refining his character so that he could steward the blessing of leadership with integrity. Blessings amplify who you are. If your character is strong, blessings will magnify your positive qualities, your generosity, humility, and wisdom. But if your character is weak, blessings can magnify your flaws, your pride, selfishness, or irresponsibility. This is why God often delays blessings until character has been developed. He is more concerned with who you are becoming than with what you are receiving. A blessing given prematurely can destroy the one who receives it, not because the blessing is bad, but because the vessel is unprepared. Integrity is a cornerstone of character. It means being whole and undivided, living consistently with your values and principles. Integrity is what makes you trustworthy, not only in the eyes of others, but also in the eyes of God. Scripture teaches us that to whom much is given, much is required. The much required is not just effort or responsibility, but also the integrity to handle the blessing in a way that honors its purpose. Without integrity, blessings are mishandled, misused, or squandered. Discipline is another vital component of character. Blessings often require stewardship, and stewardship demands discipline. For example, financial blessings require budgeting, saving, and wise investing. A lack of discipline can turn wealth into debt. Similarly, the blessing of influence requires careful words, thoughtful actions, and a commitment to serving others. Without discipline, influence can lead to scandal or abuse of power. Discipline ensures that blessings are used effectively and not wasted. Humility is critical. Without humility, blessings can inflate your ego and lead to pride. Pride is one of the quickest ways to turn a blessing into a curse. It blinds you to the source of the blessing and causes you to take credit for what is ultimately a gift. Humility keeps you grounded, reminding you that every blessing comes with a purpose beyond yourself. It positions you to remain teachable, grateful, and focused on serving others rather than elevating yourself. Testing is often the process through which character is developed. Trials and challenges are not punishments, they are preparations. They reveal weaknesses that need to be strengthened and refine qualities that need to be sharpened. Just as gold is tested in fire to remove impurities, your character is tested in the fire of adversity to ensure it can hold the weight of blessings. The delay in blessings is often a sign that you are being prepared to sustain them. God is not withholding blessings from you, He is ensuring that you are ready to receive and steward them. Character also protects you from external threats to your blessings. For example, wealth attracts attention, influence invites scrutiny, and success breeds competition. Without character, these external pressures can derail you. Integrity keeps you honest in the face of temptation. Discipline keeps you focused amid distractions. Humility keeps you grounded despite accolades. Character acts as a shield, safeguarding the blessings you have received. It is important to recognize that character is not built overnight. It is the result of consistent effort, daily choices, and a commitment to growth. Every decision you make, no matter how small, contributes to the formation of your character. When you choose to act with integrity, discipline, and humility, you are preparing yourself to receive and sustain greater blessings. Blessings require a vessel of integrity to hold them. If you desire greater blessings, you must first cultivate greater character. Focus not on what you want to receive, but on who you need to become. The blessings will come when the vessel is ready. Character is the key to ensuring that blessings enrich your life rather than overwhelm it. It is the foundation upon which every blessing can stand secure. The process unlocks potential. Many people desire blessings but resist the processes that bring them to fruition. Blessings often come wrapped in seasons of pruning, testing, and growth. These processes are not obstacles to the blessing but pathways to it. The journey is as important as the destination because it prepares you to handle what lies ahead. Without the process, the full potential of the blessing cannot be realized. Consider the imagery of a seed. A seed has incredible potential. An entire tree with fruit, shade, and life-sustaining properties is contained within it. Yet for that potential to be realized, the seed must first be planted, buried in the soil, and subjected to pressure. It must endure the darkness, the weight of the earth, and the challenge of breaking through. The seed's journey from dormancy to growth is a process, and without it, the tree could never emerge. The same is true for you. The blessings you seek often require seasons of growth that stretch you beyond your comfort zone. Growth is rarely comfortable, but it is always necessary. The pruning, testing, and refining you experience are not meant to harm you, but to shape you. They prepare you for the weight of the blessings to come. If blessings were given without the process, they would be mishandled or squandered. The process ensures that you are not only ready to receive the blessing, but also equipped to sustain and steward it. Pruning is one of the most challenging yet essential parts of the process. It involves cutting away what is unnecessary, harmful, or unproductive. In a vineyard, a vine dresser prunes the branches so that the vine can produce more fruit. The same principle applies to your life. There may be habits, relationships, or mindsets that need to be removed to make room for growth. Pruning is painful, but it is purposeful. It ensures that your energy and focus are directed toward what truly matters, preparing you to bear the fruit of blessings. Testing is another integral part of the process. Tests reveal what is inside you. They expose weaknesses, highlight strengths, and build resilience. Just as a blacksmith tests metal in fire to forge it into something stronger, testing refines your character and prepares you for greater challenges. Without testing, potential remains dormant. It is through trials that you discover your capacity to overcome, adapt, and grow. Testing is not a sign of punishment, but a signal of preparation. Growth is the culmination of the process. Growth transforms who you are, expanding your capacity to handle more. It stretches your mind, strengthens your spirit, and develops your skills. Growth requires patience and persistence because it does not happen overnight. Just as a tree takes years to mature and bear fruit, your growth unfolds over time. The blessing is not just in the fruit you produce, but in the strength and depth you develop along the way. The process also builds perspective. When you embrace the journey, you gain a deeper appreciation for the destination. You stop focusing solely on the blessing and begin to value the lessons, relationships, and experiences gained along the way. The process teaches you patience, gratitude, and humility. It reminds you that the journey is not just about achieving something, but about becoming someone. One of the greatest examples of the power of process is found in the life of Joseph. As a young man, he dreamed of greatness, yet his path to that greatness was marked by betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. Each step of the process seemed to take him further from the fulfillment of his dream, yet every trial was shaping him. By the time he rose to prominence in Egypt, Joseph had developed the wisdom, humility, and resilience needed to steward his blessing. The process had unlocked his potential and prepared him to fulfill his purpose. Blessings received without process are often wasted or mismanaged. Consider a young person who suddenly inherits wealth without the maturity to handle it. Without the process of learning financial discipline, that wealth can lead to ruin instead of security. Or think of a person elevated to a position of influence without the experience to guide their decisions. Without the process of growth, their leadership can falter. The process ensures that blessings are a source of joy, not regret. The journey is as important as the destination because it transforms you. It prepares you for what lies ahead and ensures that the blessing is not just a momentary reward, but a lasting impact. The process unlocks the full potential within you, stretching your abilities and expanding your capacity. When you resist the process, you resist the blessing. But when you embrace the process, you position yourself for growth, fulfillment, and purpose. The truth is that every blessing carries weight, and the process equips you to bear it. Pruning removes what hinders you, testing strengthens you, and growth prepares you. The process is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced. It is the pathway to the blessings you seek and the means by which your potential is fully realized. Faith and obedience are the keys to unlocking blessings. Faith declares the promise, envisioning the blessing that awaits, while obedience takes action to bring that vision into reality. One without the other leaves blessings out of reach. Faith without obedience is wishful thinking, and obedience without faith is hollow labor. Together they create the alignment necessary for blessings to manifest in your life. Faith is the starting point. It is the belief in things unseen, the confidence that what has been promised will come to pass. Faith is the language of heaven, the currency by which we access divine provision. It allows you to see beyond your current circumstances and trust in the reality of God's promises. Without faith, it is impossible to please God because faith is what connects you to His will and His ways. Yet, faith alone is not enough. Faith must be accompanied by action, by obedience. Imagine believing that a door will open for you but never taking the step to turn the handle. Faith sees the open door, obedience walks through it. Faith declares, I believe the promise, but obedience says, I will do what is required to receive it. Without obedience, faith is incomplete. Consider the story of the Israelites at the edge of the promised land. God had promised them a land flowing with milk and honey, yet their faith alone did not grant them entry. They had to step into obedience, marching around the walls of Jericho, engaging in battles and trusting God's strategy even when it seemed illogical. Their faith gave them confidence in the promise, but their obedience activated its fulfillment. Faith and obedience work hand in hand, creating a dynamic partnership. Faith gives you the courage to trust God's plan, even when it doesn't make sense. Obedience gives you the discipline to follow through, even when it's inconvenient. Together, they align you with the principles and purposes of blessings. Obedience often requires sacrifice. It may ask you to let go of something you value, take a step into the unknown, or act contrary to your instincts. Obedience is not always easy, but it is always necessary. Abraham's willingness to obey God and offer Isaac as a sacrifice is a powerful example. His faith declared that God could fulfill his promise even if Isaac were taken, and his obedience demonstrated his trust in that promise. In the end, his obedience unlocked the blessing of being the father of nations. Faith and obedience are also tests of alignment. Many people want blessings but resist the instructions that come with them. They pray for provision yet ignore principles of stewardship. They ask for influence but shy away from opportunities to serve. Faith and obedience ensure that you are not only ready to receive the blessing, but that you are positioned to steward it responsibly. Faith often precedes understanding. It asks you to trust before you see the outcome. Obedience, on the other hand, often precedes the blessing. It asks you to act before you receive the reward. Together, faith and obedience require you to walk forward in trust, knowing that the blessing is on the other side of your commitment. This principle is beautifully illustrated in the life of Peter. When Jesus called him to walk on water, Peter had faith to step out of the boat. But that faith was not enough to keep him afloat. His obedience to fix his eyes on Jesus rather than the wind and waves was what allowed him to walk. The moment he wavered in his obedience, focusing on the storm instead of the Savior, he began to sink. The blessing of walking on water was tied to both faith and obedience. Faith and obedience also refine your character. They teach you patience, trust, and resilience. Faith stretches your ability to believe in what is possible, while obedience shapes your willingness to act on that belief. Together, they prepare you for the responsibility of blessings. Blessings are not merely rewards, they are trusts. And faith and obedience are the training ground for their stewardship. It is important to recognize that blessings are not withheld because God is unwilling, but because alignment through faith and obedience is lacking. Faith aligns your heart with the promise, obedience aligns your actions with the principles. When both are in place, blessings flow naturally. They are not forced, chased, or manipulated, they are attracted to alignment. Faith declares the promise. This is what I believe. Obedience unlocks the manifestation. This is what I will do together. They create the conditions for blessings to be released. The question is not whether blessings are available, but whether you are willing to walk in both faith and obedience to receive them. They are the keys, and when used together, they open the doors to everything God has promised. Everything you desire, every blessing, every breakthrough, every promise is already prepared for you. But blessings are never accidental, they are intentional. They demand readiness, alignment, and transformation. Preparation sharpens your capacity, principles establish your foundation, and purpose defines your path. Character sustains the blessings, process unlocks your potential, and faith and obedience hold the keys to manifestation. God's design is deliberate. He does not waste his blessings, and he will not pour them into unprepared hands. The question is not whether the blessings are available, they are abundant and waiting. The question is whether you are becoming the person who can receive, sustain, and multiply them. You see, blessings are not rewards, they are trusts. They are tools for fulfilling divine purpose. To pursue blessings without pursuing the principles, processes, and purpose that precede them is to miss the heart of their design. Blessings are not the end. They are the beginning of greater responsibility and impact. So today I challenge you, align yourself with the principles, embrace the process, develop your character, and walk boldly in faith and obedience. Let every action you take reflect your readiness for what you've been asking for. For the blessings of God are sure, but they are reserved for those prepared to handle their weight and their purpose. Your destiny is tied to your preparation, and your future is waiting on your alignment. The blessings are ready. The question is, are you?